Your heart pounds. Your breath quickens. Shadows in your room suddenly feel a little darker. You know it's just a movie, but your brain doesn't. Horror movies have mastered the art of fear, making us scream, jump, and lose sleep. Yet we keep coming back for more. Why do we love being scared? What if I told you that horror movies aren't just random scares, but scientifically designed psychological experiments? Every camera angle, every silence, every unexpected noise is calculated to manipulate your mind. And today, we're breaking down exactly how these films trick your brain into fear, and why, despite it all, we're addicted to the thrill. Your brain is wired for survival. Deep inside, you have a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, your personal alarm system for danger. Whenever you see something terrifying on screen, a masked killer, a monster lurking in the dark, your amygdala reacts as if the threat is real. It floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol, preparing you to fight, freeze, or run for your life. Your heart rate spikes, your pupils dilate, and your body tenses up, ready to escape, even though you're just sitting safely in a theater or on your couch. But here's where it gets even trickier. Your logical brain knows it's fiction, but your primitive survival instincts don't. That's why your palms sweat, your stomach churns, and you may even hold your breath. Horror films hijack the fight-or-flight response, the same biological reaction that helped our ancestors survive real dangers, like wild animals and life-threatening situations. The only difference? Here you can't run. And then there's the jump scare, one of the most primitive and effective tools in horror. Ever noticed how directors keep things quiet? Too quiet? It's not an accident. Silence is a psychological weapon. It builds anticipatory dread, leaving you tense and anxious because your brain knows something is coming, but not when. Then, suddenly, a loud noise, a sharp movement, a scream. Your startle reflex kicks in before you even process what's happening. But horror isn't just about jump scares. Some of the most disturbing moments are the ones that linger, where nothing happens but something just feels wrong. That's because horror taps into something even deeper, the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley is when something looks almost human but not quite right. Your brain is trained to recognize faces and emotions, but when something is slightly off, a stare that lasts too long, a smile that doesn't fade, a movement that's just a little too stiff, your subconscious flags it as a potential threat. That's why dolls, mannequins, and animatronics often feel creepier than obvious monsters. They exist in a psychological gray zone, making you uneasy without knowing why. But horror doesn't just trick your eyes, it manipulates your ears too. Ever felt uneasy in a horror scene, even when nothing was happening? That's because of low-frequency sound waves, also called infrasound. These are sounds below the range of human hearing, under 20 Hz. You can't consciously hear them, but your body feels them. Your nervous system detects the vibrations, triggering unease, anxiety, and even nausea. Horror films use these subtle sound tricks to make your skin crawl without you realizing why. But if horror movies are so good at terrifying us, why do we keep watching them? Why do some people love horror while others hate it? The answer? Dopamine. When you experience fear in a controlled environment like watching a horror movie, your brain doesn't just release stress hormones, it also gives you a rush of dopamine and endorphins, the same chemicals that make roller coasters fun. That's why people who enjoy horror movies often handle stress better in real life. Their brains train themselves to manage fear, turning it into excitement instead of panic. But not everyone gets the same thrill. Some people's brains hold on to the fear longer, making horror an overwhelming experience, and that's okay. Fear tolerance varies from person to person. So the next time you're watching a horror movie, remember, you're not just being scared. You're part of a psychological experiment crafted by filmmakers who know exactly how to manipulate your brain. They're pulling the strings, and you're loving every second of it. Now tell me, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? Do you love horror or do you avoid it at all costs? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology of movies and gaming, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next.